An overview of the ecosystem and major protocols of DeFi. Over the past few months, various projects have blossomed in decentralized finance on Ethereum. There's been many trending protocols that fall into exchanges in liquidity, derivatives, prediction markets, stablecoins, credit and lending, among other categories. As a concern raised from the community, a considerable amount of Ethereum is sent to these applications for collateralization purposes. Until April 25th, over 2.2 million Ethereum has been locked up in DeFi platforms, which make up over 2% of total Ethereum supply. Among them, Maker gathered the most, more than 90% out of 6 major DeFi projects. Maker, DAO, and DAI. What is DAI? DAI is a collateral-backed cryptocurrency that lives completely on the blockchain and does not rely on any mediator to ensure its stability and peg relative to the US dollar. DAI is backed by collateral which is locked into audited and publicly available smart contracts. How is DAI generated? Maker uses a series of smart contracts deployed on the mainnet to back the value of the DAI stablecoin through a system of collateralized debt positions, or CDPs, feedback mechanisms, and trusted third parties. It allows anyone to leverage Ethereum holdings to generate DAI stablecoins. Users that want to create DAI first open a CDP and then deposit Ethereum in the Maker CDP smart contract. The amount of DAI that the user creates relative to the Ethereum is deposited is then called the collateralization ratio. For example, if the collateralization ratio is 200% and 1 Ethereum is worth $1,000, when depositing 1 Ethereum to the collateralization contract, a user would be able to create 500 DAI. That 1 Ethereum is no longer in the user's control until the 500 DAI loan is paid back. That CDP is then closed and the DAI burned. If the value of Ethereum fluctuates and the Ethereum value in the CDP drops enough that it gets close to the collateralization ratio, it runs the risk of entering liquidation. However, users have mechanisms at their disposal that lets them add more collateral unless the CDP is already in liquidation. The opposite is also true. And in the case of Ethereum appreciation that brings the collateralization ratio even higher, users have 2 options at their disposal. They can either issue fresh DAI based on the same collateral or withdraw part of that collateral Ethereum. And then users can also transfer ownership of CDPs, pay back all the debt, or close their account entirely. However, when the collateral value for a CDP drops below the collateralization rate and the user doesn't lock up more Ethereum, that CDP gets liquidated. When this happens, it is acquired by the system and the CDP owner receives the value of the leftover collateral minus the debt, stability fee, and liquidation penalty. The PETH collateral is then offered for sale at a discount which can be bought using DAI until an amount equal to the CDP debt has been removed. If any DAI is paid in excess, the excess is used to purchase PETH from the market and burn it, which positively changes the Ethereum to PETH ratio. A CDP lifestyle is defined in 6 stages, and some implications are: collateral increasing actions are allowed until grief. To draw is only allowed during pride, which free is also allowed during anger. To give transfers and ownerships of CDP is allowed at any time, including during liquidation. Each of the liquidation actions corresponds to its own stage. Now, some risk management. The MKR token, MKR is an ERC20 token which is created and destroyed in response to DAI price fluctuations in order to keep it hovering around $1. Aside from being used to pay the stability fees on the system, the holders of the MKR token are responsible for voting on performing a number of risk management actions. They can add or modify existing CDP types, currently only single collateral CDPs, change the DAI savings rate, a part of the switch to multi-collateral CDPs, choose the set of oracles that help determine accurate collateral prices, which is properly incentivize external actors which report prices, and choose a set of emergency oracles which have the ability to trigger an emergency shutdown. And finally, the voters can instantly trigger emergency shutdown themselves if enough voters deem it necessary. Emergency shutdown is the mechanism used in case. And emergency shutdowns can occur due to technical updates, or if the system is subject to a serious attack, it can be used to mitigate that. Compound is a protocol on the Ethereum blockchain that uses a process of algorithmically determining interest rates for pools of tokens called money markets. Based on the supply and demand for each token, the money markets are unique to every ERC20 token and transparently record transactions and historical interest rates. Users apply tokens to the platform directly and earn a floating interest rate without negotiating anything with their counterparts. Conversely, borrowers take loans of tokens from the platforms instead of having suppliers and borrowers negotiate on terms and rates. The interest rates in the Compound protocol are computed using a model that follows the theoretical notion that increased demand should increase interest rates. Each money market undergoes this calculation, and thus each token has its own interest rate model, a function of that specific token's utilization. Of course, the interest earned by suppliers is less than that paid by borrowers to ensure the protocol has economic stability and sustainability. Why be a supplier or a borrower? Money markets accrue interest in real time and offer complete liquidity so users can view the balances, including interest, and withdraw them at any point. Long-term holders can leverage their positions and use the money markets as an additional source of income. Similarly, borrowers can instantly borrow tokens. They collateralize these loans, and similarly to makers' approach, users have to maintain a balance that covers the borrowed amount, and then some to ensure solvency. Borrowers don't have to wait for orders to fill, and they can easily leverage their existing portfolios to borrow tokens that they can instantly use somewhere else in the Ethereum blockchain. Token exchange, or Uniswap. Uniswap is a protocol that automates token exchanges on Ethereum. Inspired by a Reddit post from Vitalik, it is a set of smart contracts deployed to the mainnet. It does not have a token, it actually has more than one, but more on that later. No centralized order books and no amount of fees goes to the platform or its creator, but rather to the liquidity providers, so the users. At just under 30,000 Ethereum locked, this would be enough to put it in the top 5 DeFi platforms. This figure does not take into account all the tokens locked in, though. Tokens included, Uniswap is currently the third largest DeFi platform after Maker and Compound in terms of value locked. The way that Uniswap works is it basically creates markets for each ERC20 Ethereum pair. It allows anyone to deploy a contract that essentially creates a new exchange for each ERC20. These contracts will also hold a reserve of Ethereum and the associated token. Trades between two tokens are then facilitated by using Ethereum as an intermediary. All these contracts are linked together through a registry that keeps track of them. The Uniswap factory contract accomplishes both of these tasks. It acts as both a factory and a registry. Users can use a public create exchange function to deploy an exchange contract for a new ERC20 token. Traditionally, on centralized exchanges, users choose to make markets by providing liquidity at various price points that they would be satisfied in getting and paying, so they can become market makers either on the buy side or the sell side or both. The collection of orders from all traders that do this makes up the order book. On Uniswap, however, liquidity is pooled together on both sides of the trade. The markets are then made according to an algorithm. A feature of Uniswap that stands out is the fact that it cannot run out of liquidity. Granted, a promise that sounds so far-fetched cannot come without trade-offs. The trick that the Uniswap algorithm uses involving increasing coin prices by an asymptotic function of the desired quantity. Basically, the more tokens you want on a single trade, the more you're going to pay for them. Hence the trade-off. No longer will whales be able to make huge trades, but at the same time, the system is always going to have liquidity. Trades will always get completed. And what's in it for the liquidity providers? When providing liquidity to an exchange, this cannot happen on just one side of the pair. This would shift the ratio that essentially gives the token price X token to Y Ethereum, which equals price. In this change, the provider will lose money through arbitrage. After adding equally valued amounts of both Ethereum and token to the exchange contract for said token, the providers issued what are called liquidity tokens. These tokens essentially represent shares in the liquidity pool, provided that 10% of the total liquidity of that pool receive tokens that entitle you to 10% of the pool. These are simply records that tell how much liquidity providers are owed. Adding or removing liquidity mints or burns liquidity tokens such that the relative share of the pool stays constant for everyone. These are the hows and nows onto the whys. The incentive to provide liquidity comes from the fact that for all trades, fees are paid. These fees go back into the liquidity pool so that even though providers are always entitled to the same percent of the liquidity pool, that percent is now worth more. And there are no platform fees, only the swapping fees. Prediction market, Algor. Algor is a protocol that allows users to create prediction markets. These allow speculators to essentially bet on the outcomes of future events. These markets aggregate the predictions of participants and incentivize them to contribute to the pool of wisdom by rewarding those who are eventually proven to be right. The market follows a 4-stage process: creation, trading, reporting, and settlement. And trading begins immediately after creation, and once the event occurs and its outcome is determined, users can close their position and withdraw the payouts. Market creation. Anyone can create a market regarding a future event. The creator sets event end times and designates a reporter that will report the outcome of the event. Any one reported outcome can be disputed by the community in case the report is considered to be wrong. The creator also chooses a resolution source. This should be used to determine the outcome and can be almost any source. The fees that will be paid by those who settle the market to the creator are also decided. Lastly, the creator posts 2 bonds. The validity paid for an Ethereum and refunded if the market does not settle as invalid. It is based on the amount of recent invalid results and acts as an incentive for creators to only open unambiguous markets. In the no-show bond paid in REP, it is returned to the creator only if the designated reporter submits a report during a 3-day period. It incentivizes the choosing of reliable reporters so that markets are resolved quickly. Trading. The outcomes of events are traded by means of shares in that outcome. When users buy shares for a possible outcome for a market, they essentially bet Ethereum on one outcome or the other, after which Algor's matching engine creates a complete set of shares that consists of one share of each possible outcome. An order book is maintained for all the markets created, and orders can be created or filled at any time and for any market. This may involve trading with other users or the creation of new sets of shares. Traders set a minimum price for their orders, and if it cannot be filled in full, it is at least partially filled, with the rest placed again at a new order. All the assets mentioned, Algor markets, shares and outcome, participation tokens, share and dispute bonds, are tradable and transferable at any time. Reporting. Once the event that the market was created to predict occurs, its outcome determines the market to finalize and for settlement to begin. Oracles that are motivated by profit act as reporters and relate the real-world outcomes of the events. REP holders may participate in the reporting and the eventual disputing of outcomes. Market settlement. Traders exit their positions by either selling their shares to others or by settling with the market. When creating a market, users can specify a description and also some tags to help describe the scope of the market.